Welcome back. It's 23 minutes to 11. You're watching Britain's Newsroom with Charlie and Miriam.
Now, GB News can reveal today that the police watchdog is investigating allegations of harassment, trolling and a threat against a Rotherham grooming gang victim. Well, the Independent Office for Police Conduct launched two separate investigations relating to South Yorkshire Police last year, GB News can disclose. Now, the investigations are assessing if South Yorkshire Police was involved in online harassment, stalking and leaking personal information about the victim known as Elizabeth, whose case was raised in the House of Commons this week. We're joined now by abuse lawyer and her solicitor, David Greenwood. David, thank you very much for your time this morning. This is quite a significant investigation, isn't it?
It definitely is. To have not only a number of police officers under investigation for having actually assaulted young girls in Rotherham, but to also subsequently have a police officer or a number of police officers under investigation for subsequently trolling and threatening one of the witnesses is absolutely unprecedented, and it's quite shocking if these allegations prove to have any foundation.
David, when we look at the context that we're in here, we're only able to disclose these investigations today about what the IOPC launched in August and October, but it's taken a very long time to get to this stage. Elizabeth has shared her frustration of how her concerns about this trolling and harassment just weren't taken seriously enough. What can you tell us about that, representing her and in this investigation?
Yes, I'm glad you pointed that out, because it's taken a long time for even I to be able to get the allegations against South Yorkshire police officers investigated. It took me quite a while to persuade the Mayor's office to get involved, and then the IOPC to get involved. Now, Elizabeth complained about this behaviour, this trolling, some years ago when it was happening in 2019, but nothing was done by South Yorkshire Police at that point. Now that the IOPC have come on board to investigate South Yorkshire Police, they are taking it up and actually, thankfully, taking it seriously.
And David, are you aware of any similar investigations like this in the past? And have, in your opinion, the IOPC done a good job of investigating those?
So there was quite a large investigation done by the IOPC after the news broke in Rotherham in 2013, called Operation Linden, by the IOPC. It investigated a number of complaints of the police not doing their jobs, essentially. It was, well, can I say that it didn't achieve accountability because only one officer was actually faced any kind of sanction, and that was a written warning, despite a lot of gross negligence, in my opinion, by police officers in South Yorkshire Police. So that was, in my opinion, quite a cursory investigation into what had happened, or the failures in Rotherham. The the IOPC could have done a lot more to dig into the detail of what went wrong, who was on what shift, when, and what the data, the computer data says about what they were recording and not recording. So, yeah, I think Operation Linden, in my opinion, was inadequate. So I'm glad that the IOPC are involved now with these extra allegations.
There are some concerns also that your firm, Swatolski's, has raised previously about the Independent Office for Police Conduct, in particular because of what you just said. The most severe punishment given by Operation Linden was a written warning. Nobody was fired. Well over 1,500 at least victims and survivors in Rotherham feel as though there hasn't ever been any accountability in the town for police failures. And also there was a further investigation, Operation Amazon, which found for the first time last year, they admitted, that senior officers had failed in their statutory duty to protect women and girls in Rotherham over the grooming gang scandal. What more steps need to be taken, David, to make sure that women do feel as though accountability has been delivered in Rotherham?
I'd like a review of Operation Linden and a review of Operation Amazon to work out what disciplinary procedures can be taken against officers. Part of the problem, though, is that the Police Reform Act, which governs the discipline of officers, is essentially set up to protect police officers against any kind of allegations of this nature, and general allegations anyway. It's just almost impenetrable, even for lawyers such as I to get into it and get a decent complaint started. It goes further than that. When police forces hold their disciplinary panels, they are chaired by an independent person, but who is dependent on repeat work from police officers, police forces. On the panel are police officers. So those panels, in my opinion, are not independent, don't take an independent view of what has happened. I sat through days of evidence of officers accused of not handling these cases properly, and it was obvious to me that these officers were not handling these cases properly. But the main allegation against a man called Dave Walker, a police sergeant in Rotherham, was dismissed. And I couldn't understand how they'd come to that interpretation of the evidence, but I suppose that's their view. I just don't see them as being independent, and that needs a shake-up, if you ask me.
Now, you've been involved in this area of work for quite some time. What impact do you think it has on the victims that they've not only experienced these horrific crimes, but they also feel they can't trust the police? And do you think that's actively stopping other victims coming forward? Again, this feeling that they can't trust the police who are supposed to be cracking down on these crimes.
Undoubtedly, undoubtedly. At the beginning, back in 2013, 2014, a lot of the women that I was speaking to were saying, I'm not going to go into the police at all. Eventually, the National Crime Agency took over the investigation of these allegations, and they did have some confidence among some of the women, but there are a lot of women still out there who have not come forward. Remember, the figure is 1,400, which Alexis J identified, and only about 150 to 200 have actually come forward. So there are a lot of women out there who haven't come forward for one reason or another, and one of those reasons is distrust of South Yorkshire Police.
And David, that 1,400 figure was raised by the National Crime Agency to at least 1,510 after their investigation. So even now, we're still learning more about this crisis. Just back to Elizabeth's case and this investigation into harassment, trolling, and also an alleged threat made by telephone as well. We've seen some of the evidence that she points to of key details that she thinks only the police could have known about. Posts on social media about Elizabeth moving home, about her new address, and information like that. If she raised concerns through you in 2019 about this, what could possibly be the explanation as to why those were not actioned?
Well, at that time, it was the National Crime Agency. Their remit was to look at the crimes committed by grooming gangs between 1997 and 2010, I believe. So it was outside their remit, this type of crime. So it went back to South Yorkshire Police. And South Yorkshire Police, you know...
Funny enough, I didn't want to investigate this sort of allegation.
Funnily enough, didn't want to investigate it, yes. Because South Yorkshire Police have no interest in properly interrogating themselves, their own officers, in my opinion. So I think that's probably the reason. There are... To take the case a bit further, in my view, there are ways that the National Crime Agency can track down the perpetrators of these threats and harassments online by tracing them electronically. I hope that will happen. I hope that will expose the perpetrators.
Well, David Greenwood, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Yes, well, we've also heard from South Yorkshire Police in reaction to our story this morning. They've told us we are aware of the allegations and continue to support the IOPC investigation. Should their assessment indicate that an officer has breached the standards of professional behaviour, which amount to misconduct or gross misconduct, we will take necessary and proportionate steps in line with the police conduct regulations of 2020.
And a spokesperson for the IOPC said, "We are incredibly grateful to all the brave victim survivors of abuse who have come forward. It is important that their concerns are listened to and appropriate action taken to address them. We're investigating complaints made by a woman relating to the treatment she received from South Yorkshire Police in the years after reporting being a victim of child sexual abuse. These include an alleged threat made over the phone in 2019 and allegations that South Yorkshire Police was involved in online harassment, stalking and leaking personal information about her."
Well, these investigations, which began in August and October last year, are ongoing, and to date, no conduct matters have been identified. For any named individuals, this will remain under review throughout.
Tragic story, Charlie, and lots left to come out, I'm sure.
Yeah, more investigation required, that's certain.
Well, still ahead, the BBC